What a week! A lot of things have happened during these last few days, sadly once again dealing with the Antifa attacks against Marduk. As some of you probably know, the concert in Oakland, California was after all cancelled at the request of the local police. They felt that the local Antifa who were threatening to protest the concert using the same false arguments that we debunked in our previous video were actually a danger to the community. Based on a post made by the venue in their now defunct Facebook page, we know that the cancellation came as a result of an agreement between the venue and the police department of Oakland, who thought that if the protesters showed up, they might actually pose a threat to public safety. This even though, as the venue itself explained, they had gone through all the available information and found no statement indicating that Marduk are white supremacists, nationalists, or anti-immigrant. In fact, they mentioned that the majority of their staff are people of color and LGBTQ people, and that they could not put them at risk in case the protesters came. Without actually examining the evidence of these threats and exactly how serious they were, it is difficult to pass judgment on what happened. If there are credible bomb threats, for example, it is understandable that the police might want to avoid a concert and prevent unnecessary loss of life. At the same time, a venue that fears these attacks might be justified in closing its doors to prevent huge damages to its property, to its structure, and to its patrons. Of course, since that is the reason for the cancellation, the real question is whether the police will investigate those who issued the threats. If they feared a danger to the public, then this criminal behavior has to be tackled, and the parties responsible must be brought to justice. Now, as reasonable as it might be to protect the venue, the band, and of course the attendance to the concert, this cancellation is extremely worrying, since it demonstrates that if you threaten enough people, you will be able to silence them. In fact, it continues a trend of Antifa groups using violence in order to suppress ideas they don't like. After all, the reaction of the Oakland police doesn't happen in a vacuum. In fact, as they themselves conceded, their fears come as a result of what happened at Berkeley University, when Antifa groups rioted to oppose a talk by Milo Yiannopoulos.
Now behind me, this is a police generator that was knocked over and set on fire when these protests turned into a riot. Overnight mayhem on campus. The University of California, Berkeley erupting in flames as over 1,000 came out to protest an appearance by the self-described right-wing internet troll Milo Yiannopoulos.
We will not tolerate racism or sexism or hate crimes and violence. He's a fascist and Berkeley did not welcome him.
Regardless of what you may think about Milo Yiannopoulos, his opinions or his rhetoric, the fact remains that him and his supporters were victims of a cowardly attack by a group of violent thugs. Although I don't personally agree with many of his views or comments, you really have to marvel at the irony of Antifas violently attacking a flamboyant gay man of Jewish descent while calling him a Nazi or a fascist. All of this while shooting fireworks at the building, hurting his supporters, macing women, destroying the surrounding area, and chanting for some unexplainable reason, "This is what a community looks like."
We did it, Patrick! We saved the city! Just think what might have happened if we didn't tell everyone about the monster!
About the what?
We have already seen some of the people involved in the cancellation, both of Milo Yiannopoulos and of Marduk, gloating about what they managed to do thanks to issuing what at this point really amounts to terroristic threats. Telling people that they'll hurt them, that they'll bash their skulls in, that they'll shoot them, and even that they'll kill them to keep them quiet. When you see this kind of behavior, it starts to become much easier to understand why so many Antifa organizations celebrated the massacre at the Charlie Hebdo paper in France. Clearly, it had nothing to do with opposing the supposed Islamophobia of Charlie Hebdo. It was actually that they really liked the type of methods that the monsters who murder all those journalists actually used. By the way, to the person in this screenshot who celebrates what they achieved with the violence against Yiannopoulos and now by getting Marduk cancelled, a word of advice. If you want to paint yourself as some sort of leftist intellectual leader, at least get your story straight. The line, "We have nothing to lose but our chains," is not by Lenin, it's by Karl Marx. You might know him as the dude whose name is the basis for Marxist. It's actually paraphrasing the closing words of the Communist Manifesto. If you want to be committed to your bullshit, go for it, but at least read up on it, you dumb fuck. One of the most amazing things that have happened since the publication of our Marduk video was an accusation that either I personally, or I am assuming the whole staff at Metal Blast, are some sort of master puppeteers controlling everything in the United States. A reader sent us this really funny link of a post published in the official Facebook page of the book What Are You Doing Here? Black Women in Heavy Metal, where its author, Lena Doss, throws a number of accusations against us. Although you can see the whole post on our website, since she also happened to delete this one after she was called out on it, in essence, we were accused of 3 things. The first charge is that BLM Austin were not at all involved in the boycott against Marduk and that we just made it up. Of course, you can go to our site and see that the Facebook event for the boycott was hosted by BLM Austin's official page. They created that event. Now, whether or not they were the first to start the rumors about Marduk is irrelevant, since they are the ones who decided to stick to them, put their name on it, without any research, even in the face of contrary evidence that we gave them. And they actually invited more people to go boycott their show until they realized that they had other appointments at the same time. I pointed this out to Lena, who actually doubled down on her accusations, doing the equivalent of covering her ears and just repeating her spiel over and over. She even suggested that the reason why we mentioned BLM Austin was to just drive traffic to our site and make money from it. If she had actually read our article, she would have seen at the bottom that we don't actually run any ads on our site. None. So whether we get 1 visitor or 35,000 to a single article, as it happened in this case, it makes no difference to our bottom line. Which reminds me, we do have a Patreon, so do feel free to support our ads-free journalistic effort. The second accusation, and which is just fucking crazy, is that I am some sort of shady European trying to instigate a racialized confrontation, and that we are harassing organizations like BLM Austin. I won't comment on the issue of being shady, but I'll just let you be the judge regarding this harassment, since our complete Facebook conversations with BLM Austin, with Lena Doss, etc. are all available on our site. The third is that our intention is to create racial divide in the United States, as if somehow saying this particular organization is doing something wrong means we're saying this particular race is doing something wrong. Also, Lena, I don't know whether you visited our site or watch our videos, but you are really overestimating the size of our audience. If we really had the kind of reach and power to instigate race war or any kind of war, anything, anywhere in the world, I wouldn't be recording this next to a fucking closet. As insane as Lena's accusations were, she does mention some important issues. For example, it is a fact that headlines and articles are indeed getting more and more inflammatory in order to drive traffic and generate ad impressions. Although on the idiotic left, we can see it with sites like Noisy and Metal Sucks that love hyperbole about fascists. On the schizophrenic right, we can see it with Death Metal Underground, which calls everyone a terrorist, everyone a cuck, and everyone a communist. Fuck, they called this billionaire CEO of Reddit a communist. These are sites that carry advertisements, and so of course a headline like "Terrorist Cucks Prevent Concert" or "White Cis Men Are Preventing Others from Enjoying Metal" or something just as fucking dumb has the potential to generate much more revenue than a nuanced fact-based report that you might be much less likely to click. If you hate this kind of crap, you really have to make a conscious effort to avoid falling for it, because it plays on our biases and on the way our brains work. The problem is that it also really hurts our ability to get the facts when it really matters. If I can leave you with one final thought, it is this: demand better journalism. Oh, and just in case, don't start a race war. I mean it. Don't.
Come on, Bill! Race war!
What do you mean?
Did we always talk about wanting to do that?
I don't remember that at all.